What is going on, XRP Army? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are discussing the single most significant infrastructure update in the history of Ripple, and I guarantee you 99% of XRP holders were not ready for this. While the retail market was obsessing over price charts and when moon memes, Ripple quietly executed a Trojan Horse strategy that effectively hardwires the XRP ledger into the United States banking system. The headline is simple: Ripple just changed everything. But the details are staggering. We are talking about a direct integration with DXC Technology that unlocks access to over $5 trillion in deposits and 300 million bank accounts. In this deep dive, we are going to expose why the new Hogan core banking update is the catalyst we waited a decade for, why Ripple officially canceling their 2026 IPO is actually the most bullish signal possible, and how the new Ripple Prime brokerage is quietly swallowing US institutional volume. Let's start with the DXC Technology bombshell. Most of you have probably never heard of DXC, but they are the backbone of the global banking system. They provide the Hogan core banking platform, the actual software that runs the checking and savings accounts for hundreds of major US and global banks. In January 2026, DXC announced a strategic partnership to embed Ripple's blockchain capabilities directly into this platform. Do you understand what this means? It means a bank CEO doesn't need to sign a partnership with Ripple anymore. They don't need to build a new department. They just need to update their software. Once the update is live, they have native access to RLUSD, Ripple's stablecoin, XRP custody, and real-time payments. It changes adoption from a sales pitch to a software update. This is the $5 trillion Trojan Horse. The rails are now laid directly into the vaults of the legacy system. We need to talk about the visibility gap. Right now, the price of XRP is hovering in the 150, 2.0 range, recovering from the late 2025 dip. Investors are frustrated. They ask, if the news is so good, why isn't the price at $10? The answer lies in the implementation lag. The DXC deal was signed in June 2026, but the banks are rolling out the updates throughout Q1 and Q2. The volume hasn't hit the ledger yet. This creates a window of opportunity where the infrastructure is live, but the volume is pending. Smart money buys the infrastructure. Retail buys the volume. You are getting a chance to front run 300 million bank accounts before they start moving value on chain. Furthermore, let's look at the Ripple Prime launch in the US. Late last year, Ripple acquired Hidden Road and relaunched it as Ripple Prime. This is a prime brokerage service specifically for US institutions. It allows hedge funds to trade XRP and RLUSD with deep liquidity and, crucially, legal compliance. Before this, US institutions had to use offshore exchanges or sketchy OTC desks. Now they have a Goldman Sachs-style brokerage built by Ripple. This has opened the floodgates for US-based systematic traders. We are seeing early data that US institutional volume on Ripple Prime is growing month over month. This is the sticky capital that builds a higher price floor. We also have to address the regulatory moat. The integration with DXC and the launch of Ripple Prime would never have happened without the NYDFS approval of RLUSD. The New York Department of Financial Services is the toughest regulator in the world. Their stamp of approval on RLUSD was the green light for conservative giants like DXC to move forward. Ripple didn't just win a lawsuit, they won the regulatory war. They are now the only crypto company with a full stack, stablecoin, custody, payments, brokerage that is fully compliant in the United States. That moat is impenetrable. Finally, look at the GTreasury integration. Ripple bought GTreasury, a massive treasury management firm, and has now launched a unified dashboard. This allows corporate CFOs to manage their cash and their crypto in one view. Imagine Tesla or Apple being able to swap idle cash into RLUSD and earn yield, or move it cross-border using XRP, all from the same screen they use for their regular banking. This removes the crypto complexity barrier. It makes using XRP as boring and easy as sending an email, and boring is what leads to trillions in volume. Now, let's pivot to the most controversial news of 2026. The IPO cancellation. Ripple President Monica Long officially confirmed that Ripple has no plans to go public in 2026. The stock market investors were devastated, but as an XRP holder, you should be celebrating. Here is why. An IPO is an exit event for early investors. It puts pressure on the company to maximize quarterly profits for shareholders, often at the expense of long-term ecosystem growth. By staying private, Ripple is signaling two massive things. First, their balance sheet is fortress-like. You only go public if you need to raise cash or if your early investors are desperate to cash out. Ripple raised money at a $40 billion valuation and has been buying back shares. They are sitting on billions in cash and XRP. They don't need Wall Street's money. This war chest allows them to acquire companies like DXC Partners, Standard Custody, and Medico without asking permission from shareholders. They are playing a decade-long game while public companies play a 3-month game. Second, alignment of incentives. If Ripple went public, they would have a fiduciary duty to Ripple stockholders. By staying private, their primary war chest remains their XRP holdings. This keeps their incentives aligned with XRP holders. They need the price of XRP to appreciate to fund their acquisitions and operations. If they pivoted to just selling software, IPO route, they could ignore the token. By canceling the IPO, they are doubling down on the token. They are betting the company's future on the success of the XRP ledger. That is the most bullish signal a founder can give. Let's discuss the RLUSD multiplier effect. The RLUSD stablecoin has crossed $1.4 billion in market cap in just a few months. It is growing faster than USDC did in its early days. But here is the secret sauce. RLUSD is the gateway drug for banks. DXC and GTreasury clients will start by using RLUSD for stability, but to bridge that RLUSD to euros, yen, or won, the most efficient path is via the XRP ledger's native DEX. Every RLUSD transaction burns a tiny amount of XRP. Every trust line locks up XRP. As RLUSD scales to 10B or 50 BY, the demand for XRP as the gas and bridge of the system grows exponentially. We also need to talk about the grayscale factor. Grayscale has converted its digital large cap fund into an ETF, and they have rebalanced to include a heavier weight of XRP. This brings passive retirement money into the asset. But more importantly, Grayscale is marketing XRP to boomers as the Microsoft of blockchain. They aren't selling it as a currency. They are selling it as enterprise software. This narrative shift is crucial because tech stocks trade at 30x earnings while currencies trade at 1x. If the market starts valuing XRP like a tech network, Metcalfe's law, the repricing target moves from $3 to $13. Furthermore, look at the Saudi connection. In John 2026, Ripple signed a partnership with the innovation arm of Riyadh Bank, 130 BY in assets. This connects the DXC integrated US banking system with the Saudi banking system. This is the oil corridor, and if even a fraction of the oil trade settles over these rails using XRP RLUSD, the volume would dwarf anything we have seen in crypto history. And remember, the Saudis don't play games. They pilot, then they deploy. Finally, let's address the bear market PTSD. I know many of you are scared. You saw the dip in late 2025. You are worried about the 150 support, but zoom out. Look at the infrastructure. In 2017, we rallied on hype. In 2021, we rallied on a lawsuit. In 2026, we are building on integrated banking software, 5T deposits, and a compliant US brokerage. The floor is higher because the utility is real. We aren't speculating on if banks will use it. We are just waiting for So XRP holders weren't ready. Why? Because most holders were waiting for a partnership announcement, not a structural integration. They were waiting for a headline, not a software update. The DXC and GTreasury news changes the physics of the asset. We are moving from push adoption, trying to sell to banks, to pull adoption, banks using features already in their software. What is the price target? With this new US infrastructure, analysts at Trading Key and Standard Chartered are projecting a 2026 target of the $8.0 to $13. This assumes that the macro environment holds and the DXC rollout continues as planned. The $13 target would put XRP at a market cap similar to where Ethereum was at its peak. Given that XRP targets the $150 trillion payments market versus Ethereum's DeFi market, this is not moon math, it is total addressable market math. What is your strategy? The strategy is aggressive patience. The impulse is to sell when we break even or hit $3 hours. But if you sell at $3 hours, you are selling right before the DXC volume kicks in. You are selling the infrastructure before the tenants move in. My strategy is to hold my core position until we see sustained daily volume above $10 billion on the ledger, not just exchanges. That is the signal that the banking volume is live. A critical warning on phishing. With these new corporate updates, scammers are getting smarter. They will send emails that look like they come from GTreasury or Ripple Prime asking you to KYC. Ripple will never ask retail investors to KYC for institutional products. These are scams. Keep your XRP on your Ledger Nano or Trezor. Do not interact with support accounts on Twitter. The only safe place for your crypto is a wallet where you own the keys. Let's talk about the wealth transfer. The shift from speculative crypto to institutional crypto is the wealth transfer. The people who bought Dogecoin are gambling. The people holding XRP are venture capitalists investing in the plumbing of the future economy. The US government and US banking sector have finally admitted through these integrations that they need this tech. They are buying in. Don't sell your seat at the table just as dinner is being served. The bottom line is this: Ripple changed everything by integrating with the core banking stack, DXC, instead of just fighting the banks. They canceled the IPO to protect the token. They launched a US brokerage to capture the volume. The pieces are on the board. The checkmate is coming. XRP holders, get ready. Thank you so much for watching this deep dive. If this analysis helped you understand the massive DXC and GTreasury news, please destroy that like button. It helps us fight the algorithm and spread the truth. Subscribe and turn on notifications because 2026 is the year of the harvest. Stay strong, stay safe, and I will see you on the moon. Peace.